much.
Thank you.
The gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Goodlatte, is recognized for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Holder, before turning to Fast and Furious, I'd like to ask you a question regarding an investigation that's taking place in another committee, the Energy and Commerce Committee, and that relates to the Solyndra Corporation and their default and bankruptcy and the investigation related to that. The law that set up the incentives for innovative technologies provides for the Secretary of Energy notify the Attorney General when there is a default on an obligation. This is 22 U.S.C. Section 16512, subsection 4A. If the borrower defaults on an obligation, the Secretary shall notify the Attorney General of the default. Did Secretary Chu ever notify you of that default prior to this becoming the public furor that it has become?
I don't know if something like that has been transmitted to the Justice Department or not.
It requires it be transmitted to you. Are you familiar with such a transmission being relayed to you?
This is not something that I have seen. It doesn't mean, however, that it might not exist someplace in the department. I just don't know.
The reason it's important is that the next section, subsection B, says that on notification the Attorney General shall take such action as is appropriate to recover the unpaid principal and interest due from 1, such assets of the defaulting borrower as are associated with the obligation, or 2, any other security pledged to secure the obligation. Obviously, if you're not notified, you're not able to take that action. In addition, that same public law provides in another section that the obligation shall be the subject to condition that the obligation is not subordinate to other financing. Obviously, the fact has been determined that Solyndra did subordinate its obligation to the U.S. To other private financiers, and I'm wondering if, given the fact that it appears the law was violated in that regard, if the Attorney General's office is going to investigate what happened there, how it was the Department of Energy allowed that subordination to take place since it required their approval, and if that investigation of who was responsible for that is taking place.
Well, I guess on September the 8th of this year, from the FBI and from the Department of Energy's Inspector General's office executed search warrants on Solyndra's offices. There is an ongoing investigation which kind of precludes my ability to speak too much about this matter, other than to say that this is something that we have under active investigation.
Okay, let me just follow up on my first question. Would you take a look and determine whether that notification from Secretary Chu was sent to the Attorney General's office? And if so, when that took place? And would you let the committee know the answer to that question?
Yes, I can get you that answer, Congressman.
Thank you very much. Now, with regard